Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be effortless natural attraction. I've got a really great short success story from a guy who went from being overweight, completely ignored by women, and he just believed that he didn't have anything to offer. So he's got a really great success story of how he's completely turned his life around. But before I got into it, I had a something I thought was great. I picked up a while ago. It's called Vertels. So it's a little game. You can actually get this on Amazon, and there's a lot of great questions in there. And so if you're ever in a group setting, or maybe you're on a date with a girl, you got her over at your house. What I really liked about it, it's got some really great, positive, uplifting questions. And so so you have like different rounds that you go through. And I don't know, this thing's $5, $10, $15, $20, wherever it is. But like I said, it's got a little heart kind of shaped thing on it. And I thought it's a great date idea. And so I'll just read a couple of these questions off. This is for round one. And so the first question was, what was your best purchase for under $100? Another question, of which personal achievement are you most proud? So you can see these are questions that open it and answer. It's not like a yes or no kind of answer. Who would you like to thank? Which moment would you most like to relive? What was your biggest mistake? And what's interesting is around Christmas time this past year was when I first found out about this game. We're hanging out at my dad, my stepmom's house, and we had some friends over. And I don't want to say too much, but this particular family friend, he's in the construction industry, his brother along with his dad, and their company has done a lot of work for, they know President Trump personally. And what's interesting is this particular friend, seems like a pretty calm guy, but his brother and his father fucking love Trump because they got a great business relationship with him, but he fucking hates his guts, can't stand him. And so what's interesting about this is that, we started talking, and one of the things he said he's working on is he's got some anger issues. And it's I would have never expected this guy told me this. He's it got to a point where he literally had road rage where he went over and yanked a dude out of his car. And I just that was pretty interesting. But point being, the game is great because there's a lot of great positive questions that elicit positive experiences. And remember, when you're on a date or you're talking to somebody, especially a woman, whatever your questions and your conversation topics are making her feel and think, that's what she's going to associate with being with you. So I thought it was a great little thing. I wanted to throw that in there before we got to the email, and a little kind of funny story about experience, because you see a lot in the news, and I'm sure people are going to probably bitch in the comments about this, but you see people on the right getting attacked by people on the left. And here's a family friend, and he's obviously a hardcore Democrat. His father and his brother, hardcore Republicans. They know the president personally, done business with him over many years. And he yanked somebody out of the car. It's that's crazy, a crazy story. But with that said, let's go through this guy's email, because it's a great story. And so I got a quote that I wrote, and then we're going to go through his email. The quote says, being happy and learning to value and stand up for yourself makes you stand out and sets you apart from most other regular people who are just trying to get through the work week so they can escape from life on the weekends. In a world full of people who never come close to reaching their full potential, high achievers are willing to do the little things day in and day out that most others won't do to move their lives forward. High achievers make plans and take action, while low achievers talk about what they're going to do, but only make excuses and seek out reasons to justify doing nothing to change their reality. Low achievers don't like high achievers because just being around them makes it all too obvious why their lives are going nowhere. Low achievers will work to sabotage your success because they don't like feeling uncomfortable and being reminded that they are willingly choosing to be mediocre. That's why it's so critically important to surround yourself with other high achievers who will support, nurture, and encourage you to become all that you are capable of being. So let's see where he was and where he is now. And it's a night and day difference. So he says, "Hey, Corey, I just wanted to say thank you. Just from being introduced to your material has brought me more progress than I ever could have imagined. It has become a snowball effect, and I feel that I have gone from a regular person pushing to get to the weekend just to drink and consume and feel like shit." I mean, how many people watching this, maybe you, or how many friends do you know that that's their life? How many people you know in their lives, all they do is complain about the way things are, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to join a gym, I'm going to change my job, that fucking boss, I'm tired of him. And 5 years later, they're still working for the dude and complaining about him. But they never do anything. And then they wonder why their life never changes. They don't do anything to help themselves. You got to participate in your own rescue, and that's what this guy did. So he says, to a heat-seeking missile trying to create a better life for myself. I listen to your book an hour a day, and I watch at least 3 videos a week. I read the 5 love languages and how to win friends and influence people. Those books are 2 essential books that like every human being should read. He says, I continue to go further with Jordan Peterson lectures. And I see a lot of people in the comments go, Corey, what do you think about Jordan Peterson? I was like, he's a kindred spirit. He wrote a great book. Was it 12 Rules for Success or something like that? I thought it was a really good book. I was reading it going, totally in agreement. And what I like about him is that when you get to know the guy, he's suffered from depression. He's obviously a psychologist, psychotherapist, one of the two. I think it's psychotherapist. And he had a daughter that had a lot of health problems when she was young. And so he and his wife and his family just have had a lot of problems and things that they've overcome. And you've probably heard me say this before in the past, is that when you have a weakness, when you have a flaw, when you have a part of your life that's not going really well, that can become your strength. It's like smoothing out the rough edges. And when you go through some shit, and for those of you that have read my second book, Mastering Yourself, I talk about everything in raw, intimate detail about some of the things I've been through in my life, because I want people to see that you can go from the depths of despair to the highs of success, and then you might even be crashed back down again. Maybe unforeseen circumstances happen in your life. And so you've got to cultivate a mentality and a mindset that enables you, even when it looks hopeless, to keep grinding, to keep pushing your life forward, to keep trying to get a little better each and every day. Because it's those little things you do day in and day out where most people are just making excuses that separates you from the average people. And the reality is we're surrounded by those people. And like I talked about in the quote that I wrote, is mediocre average people don't like to be around other high achievers. Typically, they're going to talk shit about them. They're going to say negative things. I mean, you can see it sometimes in the YouTube comments, and especially on the Instagram, because I tend to post a little bit more things that go into the political spectrum on Instagram, and people just get really mad and they get really angry when they're faced with truth or an uncomfortable reality, especially when you're going for the things you want and they're not. So you really have to manage very carefully who you allow into your inner circle, because when you're around other people, they're testing you. They're testing you to see if you really believe what you believe. And if you're one guy and your group of 10 friends are all mediocre people that aren't going anywhere, when you come up with a new idea or a new career or maybe a business that you want to start and they're not doing anything, they're probably not going to have many encouraging things to say. But by hanging out with other like-minded, high-achieving people who are aspiring, they're going to have low points in their life as well. They're going to have days or weekends or weeks where they don't feel like it's going their way, but they tend to be optimistic. And when you're going through a rough patch in your life, that's when they're going to step in and say, come on, man, you can get through it. Just keep grinding. You can do it. You've done amazing things in your life. But if you've got 10 mediocre friends in your life, you're going, I told you it was a fucking stupid idea. I told you should have never done that. I told you should never taken that job. I told you should never gone back to school. It was a dumb idea. That's what you're going to get. And so when you're surrounded by people like that, they pull you down to their level because they don't like being reminded of how they're being mediocre. Very, very, very important. It's one of the most important things you can do for your life. He said he also ordered, I should say, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I have not read that one. I think it was The Power of Now was the one I liked the most. So he says, I used to not be able to hold eye contact with a woman. Well, if you don't value yourself and you think you're a piece of shit and why would anybody want me? Well, yeah, you're going to be ashamed of yourself. And so making eye contact, you're going to tend to look away. But if you're proud and you're like, I deserve a fucking smoke show. You see a woman checking you out and making eye contact, you're just going to smile and you're not going to look away. Why? Because you're proud of yourself. Because you're expressing dominance. Because you made eye contact, you see what you like, and you'll see in a second here how this guy turned it around. It's very powerful. It communicates a lot about you when you can't even maintain eye contact. I mean, how many people do you walk by in a normal week that will look you in the eye and smile? Most people are looking at the ground, or they're on their phones, or they're not even paying attention where they're going. Have you ever seen the videos on the internet, people walking on their phones, they fall into a manhole or they fall into fountains? People are just fucking spaced out and not paying attention in life. He says, I would seek attention from women that would not give me attention. Now, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody seek attention from women that don't give any? Well, if you don't think you're worthy, then when you seek attention from somebody that's ignoring you, that just validates your worldview that you're not good enough. But if you're proud of yourself and a woman doesn't pay any attention to you, you're like, I'm an awesome catch. She didn't see it. That's okay. I'll just keep moving along. I want somebody that's excited to be with me, excited to talk to me, proud to be around me. But if you don't value yourself, you'll continue to interact with people that validate and reinforce your model of the world. He says, I would get nervous when I did get attention and manage to fuck it up. To add to that, I have always been overweight. I realize now that I never thought I was worth anyone's time. I get it now. I value myself. I have goals. My time is limited. I am pushing as hard as I can to develop and care for myself. Remember what Jim Rohn said. I'll take care of me for you, and you take care of you for me. He says also to surround myself with like-minded people that contain things that I aspire to and to be something to aim at all of the time. Also searching for a woman that is more than eye candy for once in my life to push forward. I was like that in my 20s. In my 20s, it's just I wanted the woman that was just beautiful. I just assumed if she was beautiful, we'd get along great because I really liked her. And obviously, if you read my first book, How to Be a 3% Man, then you know what I went through and how my perception changed. And you realize there's a lot of factors that go in beyond the physical attraction. Ideally, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, the best kind of women for that tend to be women that come from good families. They have a good relationship with their mom and their dad. It doesn't mean that women that grew up without a father are just horrible and unworthy to date. It just means that statistically, when you look at the numbers and you date enough women, you'll see the same patterns, that women that grow up in stable, healthy families, or at least they got a really strong mom and a really strong dad or father figure or mother figure in their lives that taught them the right way to be, taught them to communicate, they learned how to trust men, they're very easy to get along with. And life is hard enough, but if you get into a relationship with a woman that's got all kinds of wounds from her childhood, she never learned to trust men, never saw any healthy role models, there was cheating in the family, and you date somebody like that and you wonder why she's just fucking hell on wheels, you got to do a good job up front. It's like test driving a car. Make sure you do a good job of pre-qualifying her, because not everybody deserves to be in your life, no matter how hot they are. The reality is some of the hottest women tend to be the most fucked up. There's actually a video came out years ago where a guy did this scale where the hotness factor goes up, the more they tend to be crazy. And unfortunately, it's pretty accurate. It's kind of funny, sad, but it's also kind of accurate. And so that way, you want to look at who is this person, because eventually the physical attraction and the infatuation is going to wear off. That doesn't mean you're not going to be attracted to him anymore. You're just not going to be in fucking la la land all the time, like when you first meet and fall in love. So he says, I just have to say, what you teach has changed my life. I have gone from the hunched over, blindly projecting my own attraction, Drink as a hostage, chest-covered guy in the corner. Remember what I talked about in body language attracts women? Guys that are uncomfortable, they tend to do this. This is your core, your emotional center. You feel good about yourself, your arms down at your side. You feel uncomfortable, you tend to cover that up, or you turn sideways. Again, that video is body language that attracts women. If you're proud of yourself, you're going to stand up proud. If you think you're not worthy, you're going to hunch over. Your physiology is going to match how you perceive yourself. So he says, it was a holiday party. I guess he was at a party. He says, girl 1, she has a boyfriend, and I have no intentions, but it's nice to be able to read people. That's the thing you'll notice is that when you start exhibiting or exuding this vibe, this energy, like I talk about and teach in my book, you're going to get noticed by women, including women that have boyfriends and also women that happen to be married. And it's shocking because you literally, just by your body language, your physiology, the expression on your face can go from one day to the next, one moment to the next, from being completely ignored by women to all kinds of women checking you out. And then once you see that, you realize, wow, I have an abundance. I have an abundance of choices here. And so the more experiences you get, the more picky you get as well. If you have choice, you can be picky. Just like the smoking hot woman has tons of guys she can date, she's got to be picky. She's got to pre-qualify. She's got to make sure she gets the best, most dominant guy in her life. He says, but she has the eye lock that wants your soul. A meteor could crash through the room and she wouldn't break the conversation off. I think you know what I mean. Yeah, but at the end of the day, she's got a boyfriend. He says, girl 2 walks in. So another thing that's important when you're interacting, because I know guys that are in the pickup and seduction community, they don't give a fuck. They write about it in their books. They don't care if she's married or even with their boyfriend. If they want the girl, they're going to go after her and they don't give a damn. It's a good way to get your ass kicked or shot or worse, dead. You reap what you sow in life. If you go around screwing people over, it's going to come back to you. You can't outrun fucking karma. So he says, girl 2 walks in, which is a new girl, and oh my God, tight dress, tall, dark fit, with an ass that causes collisions at crosswalks. Holy fuck, I thought to myself as I shamelessly looked her up and down from across the room. But I kept my cool. I let her come to me and say hi. Remember, if you got lots of choice and lots of options and you got 5 different women in your mind, you're thinking, do I want to go out with her again or her? It's like the last thing you need is another woman in your life, another choice, another option. And women can, because guys that have options and choices behave differently, they talk differently, their body language is completely different than guys that got nothing going on. Internally, I was drooling on myself, but externally, it was like I was in the eye of the storm. Waiting for the bathroom with girl 1 talking to me, and I'm just ramping her fire up. She's eating it up. Then who walks out of the bathroom? Girl 2. So now you got 2 women that are interested in you, and that works to your favor. One of my quotes that I learned from Doc Love many years ago, he says, when kitty cats compete, you win. It's true. Because automatically you get social proof. Another woman sees another pretty woman likes you. That's all the validation she needs. She likes you even more then. And he didn't do nothing but just show up and enjoy himself. Exhibit the right body language, the right vibe, have the right expression on his face. So girl 2 walks by, stops. She walks backwards to the beat of the music and starts shaking her ass on me. It blew my mind. So here's a woman noticing that you're talking to another woman and she doesn't fucking care. She's trying to get your attention. Isn't that interesting? Remember, because we're taught in society, the guy's got to chase, you got to run after her, you got to do some grand fucking gesture thing, show up at her house, stalk her, and she'll fall in love. This guy's doing the opposite. He's not doing anything. He's exuding confidence. He's exuding that he enjoys himself. He exudes that he enjoys his life. And he's talking to a beautiful woman already. He says, fast forward 3 months later to a gathering, and girl 1 happens to be at a gathering and is sitting by herself at the end of a long table that my friend and I are sitting at, refusing to make eye contact with me. Why would she refuse to make eye contact? Either A, she's insecure, or B, she doesn't want you to know that she's into you. And I thought this was a fun challenge. After a while, I yell to her and tell her to come sit over here with us, as he says. And I pull out a chair. Come sit over here with us. So he's telling her what to do. He's not saying, bitch, get your ass over here and sit down in the chair. He's saying, come on over, sit down. In a let's just say a confident way, what's the word I'm looking for? A masculine way with, what's the word? I can't think of the word right now. I'm sure somebody will post it in the comments. But just come on over and sit down, and you just pull out the chair. Because if you're used to women doing that, well, of course. You just told her what to do, and she submits and comes over and sits down. Because it's obvious, she's really making it obvious that she's trying not to make eye contact with you. So listen to what she does. She slowly walks over, still looking everywhere else in the room but at me, and at the last second grabs a chair next to me and sits with the ferocity as if we were playing musical chairs. Interesting. Now the average guy who doesn't know any better would get butthurt and be thinking, I had this great conversation with this girl 3 months ago, and now she's fucking ignoring me like I don't exist. And he'd probably get pissed off and go over, hey, why aren't you come over and talk to me? Why are you ignoring me? But instead, he sees right through it. Completely different attitude, completely different mindset, and she willingly comes over and does it. Remember, your job as a man is to extend an invitation. That's what asking a girl out, asking for the phone number is, telling her to come over and sit next to you. Or you could be sitting at a restaurant. She could be across from you and playing footsie with you. It's like, come over here and sit next to me. Why are you so far away? Why don't you come over and sit next to me? She'll come right over. He says, we start talking, and she's only looking at my friend. Still screwing with him. Still testing him. Still maintaining, though, I'm not really interested in you. He says, I refuse to let it affect me. I stayed centered, and within 5 minutes, she was touching me, playing with her hair, including inching her chair closer to me. Remember, guys are supposed to chase, right? Isn't that what society tells us? All he did was tell her to come over and sit down next to him, and she just slides right over. Touching me to the point that I actually mentioned it, she laughed and touched me more. You busted her on it in a playful way. This is a complete opposite of what we're taught from the time we grow up. This is when I learned the importance of how to hang out and have fun. Well, yeah, because this kind of thing happens to you all the time. Guys that this doesn't happen to try to force a conversation, try to force themselves to get around her, thinking, how do I get this girl to like me? Well, women do the choosing. They either like you or they don't. And when you can see that they like you, you invite them over, even if they initially ignore you or profess to say, I'm not interested. Okay, well, come by later. If it was just unreal to watch a sexy-ass woman fight to contain her attraction and then let it take her over. This is just a small snippet from my life now, and I just want to thank you for it. Well, if you've read my book, which you can get the audio version of 3% Man, along with Mastering Yourself totally for free by subscribing or doing an Audible free trial. You can also read both my books in ebook format by going to my website, understandingrelationships.com, and subscribe to the email newsletter on the website. It's also available in hardcover and paperback format. And so if you've got a question, because I see people in the comments going, hey, how do I send you an email? And yes, obviously I get these emails, but if you have a great success story or you have a great question, keep it under 500 words or less and email it to questions@understandingrelationships.com. Again, that's questions@understandingrelationships.com. Now, I can't guarantee that I'll answer them all because I get hundreds of them every week, but obviously the best ones are the ones that strike me are perfect. Now, ideally you want to keep it under 500 words. If it can go a little over that, but if you start sending me 2 or 3 page emails and I'm just going to go right by it. There's no way I can read an email that long. I'll be doing an hour and a half long video. And people tend to like the shorter, sweet, to the point, give me the idea, give me a couple tips here and there. and that's what you want. Also, if you'd like to get my help personally, you want to do a phone session with me, you can go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. You can do Skype if you're international, or we can do over the phone if you're based here in the United States and Canada. And I will talk to you soon.